Hey everybody, this is Mrs. Han, and today I'm going to talk to you about diction because we're in the middle of a mystery unit, and diction is a really powerful tool that authors use when they're trying to capture and maintain an audience's attention. So let's start by talking about what diction actually is. So diction is basically just an author's strategic word choice. So let's look at all of the ways authors use diction. Remember, diction is the strategic way that authors will do the following things: create a mood or build suspense, reveal the significance of a scene, reveal something about a character that's important, enhance the story or build the plot, and number five, use rich and powerful word choice just to engage the reader. So, as we remember, our common elements of mystery, our universal elements of mystery. Mysteries have suspenseful moods. Mysteries have important settings that are eerie or that keep building that suspense. Mysteries all have certain types of characters. So again, an author is going to strategically pick words that are going to create that mood or build that suspense or reveal something important about one of the characters. So again, diction is just a fancy literary term for an author's strategic word choice. Now, when creating diction, authors have to be really selective about which words they use. What's the best ones? So let me give you an example down here. Now, as we try to improve our writing, we need to use powerful words and we need to use vivid imagery. So I might write Sarah laughed in a mean way at Abdul right here. But instead of writing Sarah laughed in a mean way at Abdul, an author who's using strong diction might instead write Sarah snickered cruelly as she shot an icy glare at Abdul. Notice the imagery. I can actually see Sarah narrowing her eyes and glaring at Abdul. And the word snickered is usually negative, like a laugh could be joyful. But snicker often means I'm mocking you, I'm making fun of someone. So Sarah didn't just laugh, Sarah snickered cruelly. It was cruel, it was mean. So Sarah laughed in a mean way. It gets the point across, but Sarah snickered cruelly as she shot an icy glare at Abdul. That's really good diction. That is the author strategically using words to create an image, to paint a picture in your mind of what that scene really looks like. And it makes Sarah go from kind of mean to like Sarah being this character that we see as cruel. So diction can be powerful because it can create the mood, it can build suspense, it can reveal something about character or a scene, it can enhance the story, or it could just engage the reader. A book that has powerful diction is going to be one of those books where you just want to keep turning the pages and keep reading. Now, last year I did a shout out of my students who had amazing answers and how I was proud. That's the shout out dance there. And I was just proud of how they were very effectively describing diction. So what you guys are going to be doing is you're going to be working on this slide 6, diction and syntax. After this lesson, you're just going to start with diction. And you are going to find evidence from your text where the author just uses powerful diction, strategic word choice, and then you're going to analyze, well, what effect did that diction have? Did it make the scene more eerie? Did it show something important about a character? So what I want to do is I want to show you my shout outs from last year. And these are some examples of how my students really effectively talked about diction in their mystery novels last year. And I want you to use this as inspiration as you talk about diction in one of your mystery novels, whether you're reading The Weston Game or Out of the Baskervilles or Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children or Adventure of Sherlock Holmes. Think about how those authors strategically use diction. So these are about different books, but check out how these students really effectively described the diction in their mystery detective notebooks. And again, these are just examples that I copied from my students' mystery detective notebooks from last year. So they would first create a quote, or they would first use a quote from their book, and then they would explain how the author used diction. So let's read through this. Opus 6 appeared like a jack-o'-lantern, sections of it glowing golden with solar-powered lights. It seemed to have eyes, and a mouth out of which a winding tongue of lava pulsed weakly down toward where the car pulled up. This is a good example of diction because using words like winding tongue, pulse, appeared, lava, weakly allows the reader to visualize the scene of Opus 6 in a vivid way. Without using these words, the book would have been much more boring and lacking the anticipation to read. They made a good point. They grabbed a really great quote that is really descriptive and has great imagery, and then they specifically explained how the author used diction to create a more suspenseful book where you're just wanting to read more. Um, And also this scene helps you visualize what's going on. Let's look at another example from one of my students last year. John Green states, quote, "The gray paint peels off the wall in odd and beautiful patterns, each creaked polygon of paint a snowflake of decay." This is a powerful example of diction because John Green strategically picks special words and arranges them in a unique way to show the mysteriousness of the scene, but also the beauty in something that people would not normally see beauty. This is similar to what we feel about Margot. We're learning that she's not just this perfect, pretty little girl, and Quentin and the audience are doing everything they can to find out who they truly are. So remember, diction not only helps create imagery, but it also helps us understand something about a character or explain why a scene is important. So here they picked um, a quote that not only has beautiful imagery, that's described in a unique way, but also it reveals something about one of the characters in their novel, Margot. All right, let's look at one more. The trees parted like a curtain, and suddenly there it was, cloaked in fog, a looming atop a weed choked hill. All right, this creates a suspenseful mood with words that show a really good, easy to picture, creepy, scary image. Short description, but they did a really good job in that short description of explaining how this created a suspenseful mood. All right, now these are some examples. I'm not going to tell you any names, but some of my students last year that talked about diction but didn't really clearly explain it. Here's a quote. She glanced around the room and her eyes scanned the desk. This is an image in the story. Okay, yes, it is an image in the story, but that student, first of all, didn't pick a great quote that had juicy word choice and vivid imagery. The quote wasn't all that special, and then they just said this is an image. They didn't explain how diction was used. Here's another one. Sarah screamed at her enemies. This quote shows Sarah is yelling. Again, not a great explanation. They could have talked about how screamed helps us better visualize the depth of Sarah's anger, but this student did not clearly explain how this was a good example of diction. Here was another one. Here is the diction. Arnie trembled in fear, knowing that things would never be the same. Okay, I actually like this quote. Arnie trembled in fear, knowing things would never be the same. I want to keep reading. That is good diction. But the student provided no explanation. So I wanted to show you those strong examples and these weak examples so that you know what to do when you get to this slide. Now, this slide is diction and syntax. So on tomorrow's lesson, you're going to learn about syntax. So I want you to add either one or two examples of diction and then leave one row for syntax for tomorrow. So you're going to find a quote from your book that is good diction, but then over here you must explain it. What did it do? Did it create a mood? Did it reveal something about a character? Did it show why that scene was important? Did it build suspense? You tell me, but explain why that was good diction and what effect that diction had on the novel. Okay, so again, just remember diction, strategic word choice to accomplish one of those things. All right, good luck and happy writing as you go to your mystery detective notebook.